Have you ever met a woman who was beautiful, charming, maybe even magnetic at first glance, but something inside you whispered, "Something is off here"? You couldn't put your finger on it. Maybe it was the way she spoke, the way she made decisions, or the way her life seemed to revolve around chaos instead of stability. Here's a truth most men ignore until it's too late. A woman's beauty can blind you, but her behavior will eventually reveal the truth. And if you don't know how to recognize the signs of a foolish woman, you might end up paying the price with your time, your money, your peace of mind, and sometimes even your future. Stoic philosophy teaches us that wisdom isn't just about knowledge, it's about discernment, about seeing reality as it is instead of how we wish it to be. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If a woman's thoughts are shallow, chaotic, or destructive, her entire life will reflect that, and sooner or later, so will yours if you let her too close. So today we're diving into 9 signs of a stupid woman, not to mock but to warn. Because when you understand these signs, you can protect yourself. And when you protect yourself, you gain the freedom to choose wisely. Let's break them down. Sign 1, she lives for drama. Have you ever noticed that some women treat life like a never-ending soap opera? Every day is another episode, every relationship another plot twist, and every person in her circle is either a villain or a victim. This is the first and clearest sign of a stupid woman. She lives for drama. At first, it may even seem exciting. A man meets a woman like this in New York, let's call her Emily. She's beautiful, full of energy, and when she talks, her eyes light up as if she's the star of a movie. On their first dates, she tells him wild stories about her crazy ex, her toxic friends, and how her boss is jealous of her. He listens, fascinated, thinking she must have lived an extraordinary life. But weeks later, he realizes the truth. Chaos follows her everywhere, not because she is unlucky, but because she creates it. A stupid woman cannot exist in peace. Peace feels boring to her. When life is calm, she becomes restless, almost anxious. So she picks fights over small things, stirs gossip in her social circle, or invents problems where none exist. She feels alive only when something is broken, and that's where the danger lies for any man who gets close to her, because her storm will become his storm. Psychologists explain this pattern as drama, addiction. For such a woman, drama is not an accident, it's a fuel. Instead of looking inward and facing her own insecurities, she distracts herself with external battles. If she feels lonely, instead of reflecting, she'll accuse a friend of betrayal. If she feels insecure, instead of improving herself, she'll criticize others. If she feels bored, she'll manufacture chaos to keep her adrenaline flowing. I've seen it play out in London as well. James, a young professional, dated a woman named Olivia. At first, she seemed passionate and full of life. But soon he noticed patterns. One week, her best friend was like a sister. The next week, she was dead to her. Every man she ever dated, she claimed, had wronged her. And soon, James himself became the next villain in her endless drama. He realized too late that she didn't want solutions, she wanted storms. The Stoics teach us the opposite. They remind us that the highest power lies in tranquility, in being unmoved by the chaos of the crowd. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." A wise woman understands this truth. She doesn't feed on chaos, she builds peace. But a stupid woman thrives on turmoil, and the man who gets too close will find his peace devoured by her restlessness. Drama-driven women also drain entire communities. In Sydney, I once heard of a woman who destroyed friendships simply because she couldn't stand harmony. When 2 friends got along too well, she felt invisible, so she whispered lies, creating tension between them. And when confronted, she played the victim, claiming she was misunderstood. This cycle repeated everywhere she went: new jobs, new relationships, new friendships, always ending in conflict. The reason is simple. A woman addicted to drama does not see relationships as bonds of trust. She sees them as stages for performance. To her, people are not partners. They are props in her story. She will exaggerate, distort, and manipulate until she feels like the center of attention. And when she finally gets that spotlight, she mistakes it for love. For a man, the cost of staying with such a woman is heavy. At first, he thinks he can handle it. He tells himself, she just needs support. She's had bad luck. But slowly, his energy is drained. His friends notice he's always stressed, always explaining her behavior, always caught in some argument that isn't his. He starts sacrificing his peace, his focus, even his career ambitions just to keep up with her endless crises. And the tragic part? She doesn't thank him for it. Instead, she blames him for not doing enough, not understanding enough, not caring enough. That's why the Stoic warning is so powerful. Do not get entangled in the affairs of fools. If a woman thrives on drama, she will poison your peace. If she needs chaos to feel alive, she will steal the life out of you. The wisest thing a man can do is recognize the pattern early, the gossip, the fights over nothing, the endless stories of betrayal, and walk away before her storm becomes his cage. Remember, a wise woman builds calm. A stupid woman destroys it. And the first sign of stupidity is simple. She lives for drama. Sign 2, she disrespects time. One of the easiest ways to recognize a foolish woman is by watching how she treats time. Time is life's most valuable resource. Once it's gone, you can never get it back. And yet many women treat it as if it's endless, as if it can be wasted without consequence. At first, it might not seem like a big deal. Imagine a man in Toronto, Daniel, who starts dating Sarah. She's charming, fun, and exciting, but Sarah is always late. When they agree to meet at 7, she shows up at 8:15. When Daniel plans a dinner, she cancels at the last minute with some excuse like, "I just didn't feel like going out tonight." In the beginning, Daniel laughs it off. He tells himself, that's just her personality. She's spontaneous. But slowly, he realizes it isn't just about showing up late, it's about the deeper truth. Sarah doesn't value her own time, and she doesn't value his either. A stupid woman wastes hours scrolling through social media, gossiping about other people, binge-watching shows, or endlessly shopping for things she doesn't need. She always talks about how busy she is, but somehow never gets anything meaningful done. Ask her about her goals and she has none. Ask her what she's building for the future and she shrugs. Time slips through her fingers like water and she doesn't even notice. The danger for a man is simple. Her chaos becomes contagious. If she constantly shows up late, he starts wasting time waiting. If she cancels plans, he loses opportunities. If she has no respect for schedules or commitments, his life slowly bends around her disorder. Before long, his precious time is being drained not by accidents, but by her carelessness. In London, I once heard of Michael, a lawyer with a disciplined lifestyle. He dated Olivia, a woman who seemed spontaneous and free-spirited. But soon, her lack of respect for time collided with his discipline. She would call him in the middle of his workday, demanding attention, show up late to his important events, and expect him to adjust his life around her whims. After months of frustration, Michael realized that her disrespect for time was actually disrespect for him. Stoic philosophy warns us against this. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good." In other words, life is short. A wise woman understands this and treats time like gold. She shows up when she says she will. She values commitments. She uses her hours to build, learn, grow, and love. A foolish woman, on the other hand, wastes time and drags others into her wastage. The truth is this: how a woman spends her hours is how she will spend her life. If she cannot respect time now, she will never respect your future together. If she cannot manage her days, she cannot manage her dreams. And if you let her into your life, you will discover the hardest truth of all. She doesn't just waste her own time, she wastes yours too. Sign 3. She values attention over respect. The third sign of a stupid woman is that she craves attention more than respect. And this might be one of the most dangerous traits of all. You see it everywhere in modern cities like Los Angeles, New York, and Sydney. Women glued to their phones, taking endless selfies, posting every detail of their lives online. For them, validation comes not from their principles, not from their character, but from the number of likes, comments, and followers they collect. Take an example from New York. James met Emily at a rooftop party. She was stunning, stylish, and full of energy. He was captivated, but within weeks he noticed something strange. Every dinner, every walk, every quiet moment had to be documented. She would spend half an hour adjusting the angle of her phone to get the perfect picture of her drink, her outfit, or herself. James realized quickly that he wasn't dating a woman, he was dating an audience. A stupid woman sacrifices her dignity for attention. She flirts with strangers on social media just to feel desired. She dresses not to express her style but to provoke reactions. She thrives when men chase her, but she withers when no one notices. Her life is a constant performance, and when the applause fades, she feels empty. Here's the tragedy: attention fades fast. No matter how many likes she gets today, tomorrow she craves more. No matter how many men compliment her, she feels insecure unless the attention is constant. It's an endless cycle and it makes her impossible to satisfy. In Manchester, Daniel once dated Olivia, who seemed perfect at first. But Daniel soon noticed she would get restless if he didn't constantly compliment her. If he got busy at work and didn't text back fast enough, she'd post provocative pictures online to fish for attention from other men. To her, loyalty meant nothing. Respect meant nothing. What mattered was being seen, being admired, being noticed. Stoicism cuts through this delusion. Epictetus said, "If you seek the approval of others, you become their prisoner." A wise woman knows this. She values respect from her partner, respect from her friends, respect from herself. She would rather be deeply valued by a few than superficially admired by thousands. But a stupid woman confuses attention with love, and in doing so, she loses both. For a man, this is a deadly trap. At first, her energy and beauty feel magnetic, but soon he realizes he is competing with an invisible crowd. He cannot give enough attention because her hunger for it is endless. And eventually, he discovers the hard truth. She doesn't want him, she wants the attention he provides. If he stops feeding that hunger, she will find someone else who will. So remember this: beauty fades, attention fades, but respect endures. A wise woman builds respect through character. A foolish woman chases attention until it consumes her. And the man who falls for her game will find himself drained, disrespected, and ultimately replaced. Sign 4. She has no control over her emotions. Every relationship faces challenges, but the real test of character is how a person handles their emotions. A wise woman feels deeply but manages her emotions with strength. A stupid woman, however, lets her emotions rule her entire life. Think about it. You meet a woman in Los Angeles, let's call her Olivia. At first, her passion is intoxicating. She laughs loudly, cries easily, and throws herself into every moment. You think she's so real, so alive. But soon that passion turns into chaos. One evening, she adores you, telling you she's never met anyone like you. The very next day, she explodes in rage over something trivial, accusing you of things you didn't even do. You realize you're living on a roller coaster, never knowing if you'll wake up to her love or her fury. This is the hallmark of a foolish woman. No control over her emotions. She screams during disagreements instead of talking. She insults when she feels hurt, even if she regrets it later. She uses tears as weapons when she wants sympathy. Her moods swing like a pendulum, and the people closest to her suffer the most. Psychologically, this often comes from insecurity and lack of discipline. Instead of regulating her inner world, she unleashes it on others. Instead of pausing to think, she reacts instantly. And while her emotional storms may pass, the damage they cause often remains. Words said in anger cannot be unsaid. Trust broken in rage is hard to rebuild. In Toronto, I once heard of Michael, who dated Sarah. He described their relationship as walking on eggshells. One wrong word could trigger an argument that lasted days. If he didn't answer her call fast enough, she accused him of not caring. If he disagreed with her opinion, she took it as betrayal. Michael eventually realized he wasn't in love anymore, he was surviving. The Stoics warned us about this kind of behavior centuries ago. Seneca wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom doesn't come from wealth, beauty, or power. It comes from self-control. And the same is true for women. If she cannot control her emotions, she is a prisoner of them. For a man, the consequences are devastating. When you're with a woman who cannot regulate her feelings, you lose peace. You spend your days trying to calm her storms instead of building your future. You start doubting yourself, wondering if you're the problem, when in reality, you're simply trapped in her lack of control. Compare that to a wise woman in London. She feels anger, but she breathes before speaking. She feels sadness, but she communicates instead of lashing out. She feels joy, but she shares it without making it a performance. Such a woman doesn't suppress emotions, she channels them with maturity. That's the difference between wisdom and stupidity. So when you see a woman who lets anger, jealousy, or insecurity explode unchecked, understand that this isn't just passion, it's foolishness. And if you let it into your life, her chaos will become yours. Sign 5. She avoids responsibility. There's a pattern you'll notice if you spend enough time around foolish women. Nothing is ever their fault. Every mistake, every failure, every broken relationship always caused by someone else. This is the 5th sign of a stupid woman. She avoids responsibility. Imagine Daniel in Manchester. He meets Emily, a woman with a tragic past, and at least that's how she tells it. She says her ex-boyfriends were all liars. Her bosses were all cruel. Her friends all jealous. At first, Daniel feels sympathy. He thinks she's been through so much. She just needs someone stable. But over time, he realizes something. In every story she tells, she's the victim. And in every story, the pattern repeats. Different people, same outcome. The problem isn't the world, the problem is her refusal to take responsibility. This is a deadly sign because responsibility is the foundation of growth. If you can't admit mistakes, you can't learn from them. If you blame everyone else, you'll repeat the same failures endlessly. And that's exactly what a foolish woman does. She moves from one crisis to the next, convinced she's always innocent, never realizing her own choices created the cycle. In New York, James experienced this firsthand. His girlfriend, Sarah, constantly complained about her financial struggles. She blamed her employers for underpaying her parents for not helping enough, and even the economy. But James noticed she never saved money, never planned ahead, and spent recklessly on things she didn't need. When he suggested budgeting, she snapped, "Don't blame me for things I can't control." For Sarah, responsibility was a foreign language. The Stoics remind us that responsibility is power. Epictetus taught that while we cannot control external events, we can always control how we respond. A wise woman understands this truth. If something goes wrong, she asks, "What could I have done differently?" She takes ownership of her role, and that makes her capable of change. But a foolish woman denies her part in everything. And by doing so, she remains trapped in the same failures, dragging others down with her. For men, this becomes exhausting. When you're with a woman who refuses responsibility, you become her scapegoat. If she's unhappy, it's your fault. If she makes a mistake, you're to blame. If her life isn't where she wants it to be, somehow you're the reason. And the longer you stay, the more you carry weight that isn't yours. Contrast this with a wise woman in Sydney. She makes mistakes, but she admits them. If she argues unfairly, she apologizes. If she fails at something, she learns and tries again. Such a woman isn't perfect, but she's accountable. And accountability is the soil in which wisdom grows. So remember, a woman who avoids responsibility is a woman stuck in eternal victimhood. No matter how much you give, no matter how much you support, she will never grow, because growth requires honesty, and she refuses to face herself. That's not just foolishness, that's a trap. 6. She has no respect for loyalty. Loyalty is the foundation of every strong relationship. Without it, love collapses. But some women treat loyalty like it's optional, like it's something to give only when convenient. And here's the thing, you don't even need years to see this. A woman's character reveals itself quickly if you know what signs to look for. Imagine this: James, a hard-working man in London, meets Sarah at a friend's gathering. She's stunning, magnetic, the kind of woman who turns heads the moment she walks into the room. They start dating, and in the early weeks, James notices something. Her phone is always buzzing, and she often laughs a little too hard at texts from old male friends. At first, he brushes it off. He doesn't want to appear insecure. But then he hears her say things like, "Loyalty is earned, not given." A line that sounds clever but hides something dangerous. Because loyalty is not just about earning, it's about character. A woman without loyalty will switch her allegiance the moment life gets difficult. She may stand by you when things are good, when you're buying dinners, planning trips, when everything feels exciting. But the real test of loyalty is when you struggle, lose your job, face criticism, go through tough times. That's when you see her true colors. And if she has no respect for loyalty, she won't just walk away quietly. She may betray you, confide in another man, or even start building a backup plan while you're still fighting for your life. The Stoics remind us that loyalty is tied to virtue. It is about standing firm, even when storms come. A disloyal woman, by contrast, lives in a world of constant options. She sees relationships not as commitments but as opportunities. And here's the painful truth: such a woman will never truly bond with you. She'll always keep one foot outside the door. Think of it like this: imagine building a house on shifting sand. No matter how beautifully you decorate it, no matter how strong the roof is, it will collapse because the foundation is unstable. That's exactly what being with a disloyal woman is like. You may invest years of your life, pour your soul into her, but if she doesn't respect loyalty, everything can vanish overnight. Now, some men think they can fix this by proving their worth. by giving her more love, by showing her that they deserve loyalty. But let me tell you the truth most men refuse to accept. You cannot teach loyalty to someone who doesn't value it. It's not about you. It's about her character. So here's the wisdom. Watch how she treats others. Does she gossip about her friends behind their back? Does she change her story depending on who she's with? Does she flirt with other men in front of you and laugh it off as just a joke? Those are not small red flags. They are clear warnings. A woman with no respect for loyalty may look exciting, adventurous, even irresistible in the moment, but long-term, she will drain your spirit. And as a Stoic man, your duty is to recognize this pattern early and protect your peace. Because the highest form of power is not in controlling others. It's in walking away from those who cannot be trusted. 7. She values status over substance. Now let's talk about one of the most dangerous signs. When a woman values status more than substance. You've seen her before, the kind of woman who only notices the man with the expensive car, the one with the flashiest lifestyle, the one who can get her into the VIP section of a nightclub. On the surface, she seems fun, glamorous, high energy. But beneath it, emptiness. Daniel from New York once dated a woman named Olivia. He met her at a rooftop party in Manhattan. She was stunning, well-dressed, the kind of woman who makes you feel like you've won a prize just by being seen with her. But soon, Daniel noticed something odd. Her questions were never about who he was as a man, but about what he had. She'd ask, "What car do you drive?" Or "Which gym do you go to?" Or "Who do you know in the city?" At first he thought she was just curious, but then it hit him. She wasn't interested in him. She was interested in what being with him could do for her image. This is the essence of a woman who values status over substance. She doesn't care about your discipline, your honor, your vision, or your resilience. She only cares about appearances. And here's the danger. When you build a relationship on status, it lasts only as long as you can maintain that status. Lose your job, downgrade your lifestyle, or simply stop entertaining her hunger for prestige and she will vanish. The Stoics would call this vanity, a shallow obsession with things that are outside of our control. Marcus Aurelius himself warned against chasing reputation and wealth, because they are fragile. And a woman who lives only for status is fragile too. She will follow the wind, the money, the prestige, wherever it takes her. But here's what makes it worse. This kind of woman often disguises her obsession with status as ambition. She'll say things like, "I just want a man who's driven," or "I need someone who can match my energy." Sounds admirable, right? But watch closely. Does she value men who are quietly building? Who are consistent and strong, even if they don't flaunt it? Or does she only chase the loudest, flashiest lifestyle? That's the difference between real ambition and shallow status seeking. Men fall into this trap because the attention feels intoxicating. Being chosen by a woman like this makes you feel important, like you've finally made it. But it's a lie. Because the moment you stop feeding her hunger for status, she will move on to the next man who can. And here's the lesson. Substance is eternal, status is temporary. A Stoic man focuses on building substance, discipline, honor, purpose. These are things that no one can take away from you. But if you tie your life to a woman who only values the surface, you're chaining yourself to something that will crumble. So ask yourself this, when she looks at you, does she see you, your strength, your vision, your character? Or does she see a lifestyle she wants to use as her own reflection? Because if it's the latter, she's not choosing you, she's choosing status. And a woman like that will never love you, only what you can provide. The Stoic man knows this truth. It's better to stand alone in your integrity than to be admired falsely by someone who only loves your image, because the right woman will admire not your car, not your bank account, not your reputation, but the man you are when the world is stripped away. 8. She belittles others to feel powerful. One of the ugliest signs of a foolish woman is this. She tries to elevate herself by pushing others down. Instead of building confidence through discipline, growth, or wisdom, she tears others apart just to feel taller. Think about it. In Sydney, Michael dated a woman named Emily. On their first dates, she seemed sharp and witty, always with a clever remark. But soon he noticed her humor was never innocent, it was cutting. At dinner, she mocked the waitress's accent. At parties, she whispered insults about her friends' appearances. And when Michael achieved something at work, instead of celebrating, she found ways to dismiss it. "Oh, that's not such a big deal. Plenty of people could do that." At first, Michael laughed it off, thinking she was just joking. But he soon realized the truth. Emily's entire sense of power came from making others feel small. This is the behavior of a stupid woman, because deep down she is insecure. Instead of facing her own weaknesses, she projects them onto others. Instead of improving herself, she convinces herself she's already superior by tearing down those around her. But that kind of power is fake. It lasts only as long as her victims stay quiet. The danger for men is obvious. When a woman belittles others, she will eventually belittle you. No matter what you achieve, she'll find flaws. No matter how loyal you are, she'll find reasons to doubt. She doesn't build, she destroys. And if you stay with her, over time, her words will carve scars into your confidence. I've seen this in Manchester as well. Daniel had a girlfriend named Sarah who constantly compared him to other men. If he bought her a gift, she'd say, "Well, Olivia's boyfriend bought her something better." If he worked late, she accused him of being boring, not exciting enough. Slowly, Daniel began to doubt himself. He started to believe he wasn't good enough when in reality, he was simply with a woman who thrived on belittling him. The Stoics would never accept this. Epictetus taught that insults harm only if we allow them. But here's the truth: being with someone who constantly belittles you is like standing in the rain. It doesn't hurt at first, but eventually it soaks you through. A wise woman, in contrast, uplifts. She notices small wins, encourages her man, and praises others when they succeed. Her confidence is so secure that she doesn't need to cut others down to feel strong. That is the kind of woman who creates peace, growth, and respect around her. So when you see a woman who mocks others, who thrives on sarcasm, who always finds flaws instead of giving credit, be careful. That's not intelligence. That's insecurity disguised as strength. And a Stoic man knows better to walk alone with dignity than to let someone's poison drip into your life. And she destroys peace wherever she goes. This final sign is perhaps the most dangerous of all. A stupid woman destroys peace wherever she goes. You know the type. In Los Angeles, Olivia walked into every room like a storm. Arguments followed her. Friendships broke apart after she entered them. And relationships with her ended in chaos. For Olivia, life wasn't about harmony, it was about control. And the easiest way to gain control was to disrupt peace. For men, being with such a woman feels like living in constant battle. Every day brings new tension. If you want a quiet evening, she creates drama. If you want to focus on your work, she demands attention. If you try to solve problems calmly, she stirs new ones. Peace suffocates her, because deep down she is addicted to chaos. In Toronto, James once shared his story. His girlfriend Sarah couldn't stand stillness. If they had a quiet weekend at home, she'd pick a fight just to feel alive. If things seemed too perfect, she'd accuse him of hiding something. James described it perfectly. I realized I was never allowed to relax. Even in silence, she created noise. The Stoics warn us that peace of mind is the highest form of wealth. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." But when you're with a woman who destroys peace, you lose even that inner retreat. Her noise becomes your inner noise. Her chaos becomes your constant burden. And here's the truth: peace is not boring. Peace is power. A wise woman understands this. She knows that stillness, respect, and stability create the foundation for love and growth. She doesn't need to stir conflict to feel alive. She creates harmony that makes everyone around her stronger. Contrast that with the foolish woman. She thrives in environments where everyone is walking on edge, where arguments never settle, where relationships collapse one after the other. And if you stay with her, your own mind will suffer. Sleepless nights, endless stress, constant arguments, until one day, you realize your life has been consumed by her lack of peace. So if you want to protect your soul, remember this final truth. Avoid the woman who destroys peace. She may seem exciting at first, but her storm will eventually drown you. Choose the woman who builds peace instead, because peace is not just the absence of conflict. It's the presence of strength, discipline, and love. Conclusion. So here's the truth. Stupidity isn't about IQ. It's about patterns of behavior that poison lives. A stupid woman might be beautiful, educated, even charming, but if she lives for drama, disrespects time, chases attention, avoids responsibility, or destroys peace, she will drag any man down with her. Wisdom, on the other hand, is quiet. A wise woman brings calm, respect, and growth. She values time, she seeks peace, she holds herself accountable. And when you find a woman like that, you've found a rare treasure. The Stoics remind us, associate with those who will make a better man of you. If a woman shows these 9 signs of foolishness, you now have the knowledge to walk away. If she shows the opposite, hold on tight because wisdom is rare and it's priceless. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.